What's going on, everybody? This is Mattdoesfitness, and what do you call a dog with no legs? Doesn't matter, it's not going to come. Hello and welcome to my road to the British Champs, and it has been a pretty monumental week. After the fireworks and lack of fireworks from my testing period, I had a bit of a kind of disjointed few days, and now I'm kind of back on it, and obviously I've made some big changes. Now if you don't know what I'm referring to, I would advise, if you have the time, to quickly go back and watch my fixing my squat video and fixing my bench press video, because that will obviously tell you everything you need to know in that respect. But quite simply, deadlift's going really well. Like I spent a bit of time fixing that, and now it's kind of taken off. My squat, my form, I knew my form wasn't great, but because my weight was going up, I wanted to just stick it as it was. But now it's kind of plateaued a bit. I feel like it's a good time to change that around technically. And bench press, exactly the same. Form wasn't good, and every time I failed a rep, it was the same thing happening, elbows flaring. Obviously I've got long arms, so that's not well suited to a narrow grip, because I'm just extending the range of movement even more. So again, I'm going to change my form around there. And this week is the first week where I've kind of been putting that into practice, and it's been mixed. I would say squats weren't great, but I mean that is, I guess, kind of to be expected because of the change of form, but more importantly, I was like wiped out like I did. After that squat miss, I was so annoyed. Like I sat around for about 5 minutes and I was kind of depressed, and I was going to just go home, but I thought, you know what, I need to kind of get that frustration out. So I did about 10 sets. Like I did a ridiculous amount of sets and reps, culminating in like a set of 15 and a set of like 20 or something ridiculous. So obviously I'm still pretty shattered from that, but you know, the form's starting to feel good. Like I think it looks quite good technically. It just wasn't great in terms of the weight I was able to lift. Bench press is kind of surprisingly good. Like I thought, I mean already it's starting to feel quite strong, so you know I don't want to jinx it and I don't want to kind of count my chickens, but it feels quite good. Deadlifts were like fine, you know, deadlifts are good for me. I'm really confident and happy with how they're going, so that's that. Yeah, I mean this is obviously the last bit of training I can get in before going to America. When I get out there, the plan is pretty much just to maintain. Like I'm not expecting to get, you know, 4, 5, 6 sessions in a week. I figure as long as I can hit each lift, you know, once a week for the 2 and a bit weeks I'm out there, I'll come back and be, you know, where I was when I left, if not, you know, in a better position. So that should be fine. You know, I might get more in than I expect. I might struggle at sometimes, but I think I should be able to get that in. If I had that as kind of a baseline kind of plan, I think I should be okay there. And you never know, I might feel good and go for a deadlift PR, for example, but that's probably unlikely. Although if I'm in the right environment and everyone's lifting heavy and I'm excited, then it could probably happen, but who knows. Anyway, I've been talking for a little while, and I am looking for a nail file, and you are going to walk a mile if you need to tile something that's a mile away. So obviously you'd have to walk that mile to get to there, unless you had a car, in which case you just drive the mile. Anyway, it's time for some footage. So before you watch the footage, there are obviously a few kind of hoops, if you like, you need to jump through, and I mean literal hoops. So you need to go and get some hoops, you know, like the kind of hula hoops that you like, woo, you kind of use when you're a kid, or in my case every day, and then just kind of hang them up. Or get some people to hold them up in the air. Just run and literally just jump through the hoops. Maybe 15 or 16 should do the trick. When you've done that, come back, sit back and enjoy. Here we go. So Wednesday was a bench day. Now the reason it was a Wednesday is only because I finished testing on Monday. So obviously took Tuesday as a rest day and then started again from Wednesday. So bench press day, and I went for 5 sets of 6, 120 kilograms, 264 pounds with my new setup, which is a basically a wider grip and bringing the bar down higher up my chest to obviously fit in with that. So not obviously flaring my elbows, you know, like overly, but just
more than I was before. But basically what I was doing before was a very, very narrow grip, which is not suited to the length of my arms, and so I'm just mixing it up. If you watch the fixing my bench press video from earlier in the week, you will understand the theory behind that. But yeah, what I'm basically doing with my setup now in terms of my my training setup is that with my bench and some of my squat work, I'm going to give myself like a rep range to hit. So as opposed to doing sessions where I do 5 sets of 5 or 5 sets of 3 or whatever, it will be 5 sets of 3 to 6. The thinking being that not only will I be able to, that was a motorbike, not only will I be able to increase the weight each week or each session, I'll also be able to increase the reps. So it just gives me more scope to overload, to progressively overload without doing it too quickly. Then moving on to Thursday, this was my squat day, and again similar setup. I went for 3 sets of 3 to 6. So whereas with bench press it's 5 sets of 3 to 6, squats I thought 3 sets of 3 to 6 because planning on doing this twice a week, and also I was still pretty fatigued, sore from my squat testing. Basically after I missed my squat attempt on the Monday, the squat fail, I was really annoyed, so I did literally like 10 sets of squats, so I was really sore by this point. Plus I've been doing the squats with the new form, which as you can see there is a wider stance, keeping my knees out and sitting back more, so much more of a traditional low bar technique. But I found it really hit my hamstrings, my adductors and my glutes more so than I'm used to, and so I was really sore. So here I thought I'd go for something relatively light, so 4 plates, 180 kilos, 397 pounds, and even that was pretty grindy. It was quite ugly. It wasn't like, it didn't feel super heavy, it was just kind of uncomfortable. Like I didn't, obviously I'm still recovering from the test. I had 3 kind of heavy test days back to back, so I'm still recovering from that. Plus, like I said, I am just sore generally from the change in form. But I mean, you can see there, that's like, I thought I'd get a side on, but you can see it looks a lot better, I think. You can see I'm breaking from the hips as opposed to my knees. I'm sitting a lot further back for sure. I'm still trying to kind of establish what is the best angle for my torso. Sometimes I lean forwards too much, other times I sit up too much, so I'm still trying to get that right and keep my kind of back nice and stiff. But generally speaking, the form feels like it's coming together relatively well. Like I'm definitely keeping my feet and my knees wider, which does feel already, it feels strong. I feel like it's a much more solid base. There's less kind of margin for error, I think. But obviously that is a work in progress. Then Friday, it was my second bench press session, so exactly the same session, 5 sets of 3 to 6 reps, 122.5 kilograms, 270 pounds. So I've increased the weight. And again, yeah, the plan is obviously just to do as many reps as I can up to 6, and I managed to get 5 sets of 6, and it felt fine. Like the first bench press session I did on Wednesday, the one with slightly less weight, felt ridiculously easy. Like the wider grip, I feel like I kind of acclimatized to it really quickly, and the weight was moving ludicrously easy. Obviously it's not particularly heavy, but even so, my lockout felt so effortless. Then this one still felt okay, but nowhere near as good. I think obviously I was fatigued. This is only 48 hours after the previous bench press session. Obviously it is a change in technique, so my chest and kind of front delts were still sore from that previous session because I haven't benched with this wider grip for like 2 years, I guess. So it is a big change for me, but already it's starting to feel natural. It does. Just like with my squat setup, the wider stance, it does feel a lot more kind of solid. The base feels a lot stronger. It feels, like I said, a lot less margin for error. It feels like it's more of a natural movement. So I am very confident with my bench that's going to kind of cross over to a PR when I eventually get it nailed down and get the weight up. And then last session of the week, this is Saturday, and this is a deadlift session. And whereas with my bench and squats, I'm doing sets of 3 to 6. Deadlift, I'm going to do sets of 1 to 4. Just purely because I don't think you need to do any more reps than that, or I don't anyway. I find that any more than that is just a waste of time basically. So yeah, this was, like I said, 5 sets. Weight was 220 kilos, 485 pounds, so 5 plates. I wanted to go for something that was, heavy enough to be taxing, but nothing major, because obviously I'm still, again, keep saying it, still fatigued, still neurally fatigued from the testing period. And also, as much as I think it's mental, after you test and you get PRs and stuff, or you miss PRs in my case, you obviously find that like you're just kind of a bit over it. Do you know what I mean? It's a bit kind of, it's not as exciting. Obviously, when you're testing, when you're going for big PRs, it's really, really exciting. The adrenaline's there, everything's feeling good. When you then come back to the grind of training, it's just kind of not the same kind of adrenaline isn't there. So it was a bit of a grind, but I got all 5 sets of 4, which is obviously very pleasing. I've never done that weight for more than 3 reps, although I know obviously I've been capable of that in the past, but it was nice to get the work in. And what I found was, although the weight wasn't moving super easy, when I got myself really pumped for a rep or a set, I could pull it up pretty freaking quick. So that was nice to know. And then finish with some accessory work, some obviously what I've always been doing for a while anyway. Deficit pause deadlifts, 3 sets of 3, 160 kilos, 353 pounds, and that was my session, and that was my week. So that is that, guys. It's obviously a short week because I'm off to America. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. As always, follow me on Instagram if you want to see what I'm doing in America, and I will see you tomorrow.